The poor boy's success. Once upon a time, in a small, quiet village surrounded by green hills, lived a poor boy named Jack. Jack and his mother lived in a tiny house with a broken roof, and they owned very little. His father had passed away when he was young, leaving them with nothing but a small garden and a few chickens. Jack's mother worked hard, but no matter how much they tried, they barely had enough to eat. Jack was a bright and kind-hearted boy, but poverty made life difficult. Every day, he would wake up early to help his mother in the garden. They would grow vegetables and sell them at the market, but the earnings were never enough. Sometimes Jack had to go to bed hungry, his stomach growling in the stillness of the night. Despite his hardships, Jack always dreamed of a better life. He would often watch the rich people who passed through his village, riding in fine carriages and wearing clothes made of the finest fabrics. One day, Jack would whisper to himself, "I will be successful, and my mother will never have to work again." One cold winter morning, while Jack was at the market selling vegetables, he overheard two men talking. One of them was a wealthy merchant known for his vast fortune, while the other was a traveler. The traveler asked the merchant how he had become so rich. The merchant smiled and said, "The secret to success is knowledge, hard work, and persistence. If you can learn and work hard, you can achieve anything." Jack listened carefully, his heart beating fast. He realized that if he wanted to change his life, he had to learn. But there was one problem. There were no schools in his village, and he couldn't afford to buy books. Still, Jack did not lose hope. One evening, an old man knocked on Jack's door. The man looked tired and cold, his clothes torn and his face lined with age. Jack's mother, despite their own poverty, welcomed the stranger into their home. She gave him some warm soup and let him sleep by the fire. The next morning, the old man, feeling grateful for their kindness, gave Jack a small, worn-out book before he left. "This book is special," the old man said, his eyes twinkling. "It holds great wisdom. Read it carefully, and it will change your life." Jack was thrilled. It was the first book he had ever owned. He began reading it that very day, sitting under the shade of a tree near his house. The book was filled with stories and lessons about hard work, honesty, and never giving up. Jack read the book every night, even when his eyes were heavy with sleep. Slowly, the wisdom from the book began to shape his mind and his character. One of the stories in the book was about a farmer who worked tirelessly on his barren land for years without seeing any crops. But the farmer didn't give up. He continued to work, even when others laughed at him. After many years of toil, the land finally became fertile, and the farmer grew the most beautiful and abundant crops in the land. The story taught Jack an important lesson. Success doesn't come overnight, but it comes to those who are patient and persistent. Years passed, and Jack became a young man. He had learned everything he could from the book and was determined to use that knowledge to improve his life. He decided to start a small business selling the vegetables he and his mother grew. At first, it was very difficult. People didn't trust a poor boy like Jack to run a business, and they were used to buying from wealthier merchants. But Jack didn't give up. He remembered the story of the farmer and kept working, day after day, even when things seemed hopeless. He treated every customer with kindness and honesty, never overcharging them and always giving them the freshest produce. Slowly, word spread about the hard-working boy with the best vegetables in the market. Jack's business began to grow. He saved every coin he earned and reinvested it in his garden. He bought better seeds, more tools, and even hired a few workers to help him. His small business soon became the talk of the village, and Jack started making more money than he had ever imagined. But even as his wealth grew, Jack remained humble and kind, always remembering the lessons from the old book. As time passed, Jack expanded his business beyond his village. He started selling his produce in nearby towns, and his reputation for honesty and quality grew. People admired Jack not just for his success, but for his generosity as well. He helped other poor families by teaching them how to grow better crops and start their own businesses. Jack never forgot where he came from, and he always gave back to his community. One day, years after Jack had started his journey, the same rich merchant who had once inspired him came to his village. The merchant was now old, and his business was struggling. He heard about Jack's success and came to ask for advice. Jack welcomed him warmly and shared the wisdom he had learned from the old man's book. The merchant, surprised by Jack's generosity, asked, "How did you, a poor boy from this small village, become so successful?" Jack smiled and replied, "It wasn't easy. I learned that success comes from knowledge, hard work, and never giving up. But the most important lesson I learned is that real success is not just about wealth. It's about helping others and staying true to yourself." Jack's story became famous, and people from far and wide came to hear about the poor boy who had risen to greatness. He continued to grow his business, but he never let his wealth change who he was. He remained humble, kind, and generous until the end of his days. And so the poor boy who once dreamed of success had achieved far more than just wealth. He had gained wisdom, respect, and the love of his community. His story lived on as a reminder that with hard work, patience, and a good heart, anyone can achieve greatness. Moral of the story: true success is not measured by wealth alone, but by the kindness, honesty, and perseverance with which we live our lives. Jack's transformation from a poor boy to a successful man teaches us that with determination, hard work, and kindness, anyone can achieve their dreams. His story reminds us that true success is not just about wealth, but also about the values we live by and the difference we make in the lives of others. If you want to improve your English while listening to more inspiring stories like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Here, you'll find motivational tales that not only enhance your language skills, but also encourage personal growth and success. Keep learning, keep growing,